By the way, they're saying Larry Bird will remain on, but he'll be a consultant. Yeah. You know what consultants are all about.
Collecting checks?
Orlando's looking for a GM, and they'd consider Larry Bird. So that's what the vertical says, Wojo. And so I have some news on Wojo, but I can't. I'm not.
Really? What is it?
I'm not going to do it. It's not up to me. It's his career. So all sorts of stuff happening. There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes.
You're so sneaky. You just drop little things and then you don't complete them.
Well,
it makes me feel incomplete.
I wouldn't want somebody that knew my career and knew my stuff, my employment, to talk about it without me. So there's a lot of things I know.
Can we call him?
No, he's going to do very fine. He's going to do very fine.
No, I'm just saying we can call him so that you can talk about him and then he's here. So it's not like you're talking behind his back.
Well, Larry Bird basically stepping down. And my takeaway on this, there's several fold. Is that Herb Simon's going to sell this team in the next couple of years. He wants to. The word's out. The feelers are out in the private equity fund world in New York City that Herb Simon would take an offer if he could get $800 million. And that's what I've been told by two different people now, that the private equity people in San Francisco, New York, and L.A. have been told make an offer on the Pacers. And it's more valuable if they have Paul George. And Paul George ain't sticking around if Larry Bird's in-house. Would Larry Bird want to do a deal with the Lakers? God, that'd be painful. And so Kevin Pritchard's a better sales guy, and Bird will be a consultant, but they got to keep Paul George. And they know that they can't get equal value. So there you go. Here's something else.
Wait, can we just, guys like Larry Bird are losing their job because of Paul George. That's crazy to me.
Why?
Larry Bird is going to lose his job because he doesn't kiss up to Paul George.
Well, the NBA is a star-driven league.
I know, but man.
Well, so you'd rather have old, crusty guys run it instead of new, talented people.
Is he old, crusty, though, in the way the Pacers are a lot better than they were not that long ago.
Well, they fired Frank Vogel. I didn't like that move. That wasn't a great move.
I don't know.
George Hill sure is good since he left. I don't know.
This is just a slippery
okay.
slope.
So it's okay for Pat Riley to leave the Lakers and leave the Knicks. But God, if LeBron leaves Cleveland, Satan. I like all these players having a little power. You know what?
But when front office people are losing their jobs because of what a player wants.
But by the way, players lose their jobs.
Because of their skill. They can always go play. Always. If they're good enough, they can play.
You do realize in this big infrastructure, you and I are the players.
Yes, I know.
So you should be rooting for us. I root for on-air people. I don't root for rich old guys.
If we were making their types of money...
let's stop with that money. We're making great money compared to the guy delivering our garbage.
No, absolutely. But that's why I'm saying, these guys are making so much money from their job. Let's not mess this up here. The reason that they have that money is because of the league. The league is also helping them. So it's not poor me.
All I'm saying is Howard Stern should make more than Mel Karmazin.
Absolutely, and which is why LeBron James makes more than the last guy on that roster.
Paul George is the single most valuable part of the Pacers, outside of the arena. The arena's worth, $500 million or whatever arenas are worth.
Yeah, but you see why the NFL is so successful because it's not player-driven. I think this is getting very, very dangerous.
Yeah, no, listen.
And I'm all about the player.
Listen,
I'm so pro-player.
I prefer the NFL over the NBA, and this is one of the reasons why, is that you don't become beholden to one athlete. The reason the NFL is the best league, there's a million reasons. We bet on it. Football is more popular than, we gamble on football. It's a better run business than football. It's got more history in America. Football is part of our fabric like baseball. The NBA's biggest issue, college football and the NFL work in conjunction. College basketball resents the NBA, and the NBA resents college basketball, so they never hand the momentum baton to each other. The NBA couldn't care tomorrow if there was no college basketball. The NFL likes college football because it develops the players, and it keeps them out of the NFL for 3 years so they come in more mature. The NBA hates college basketball.
The NBA wants to develop the players themselves.
That's right. So for a million reasons, the NFL is more popular, and I like the NFL. And the NFL's, it's really well run. I always say this. If you, as a fan, you should not root for powerful players. It doesn't help you, the consumer. I always hear people saying, you got to pay that guy, man. You don't want him to be highly paid. What you want is athletes in the NFL to be cut. That in any given day, if they don't give you the consumer, if they don't bust their ass, you cut them. They're off. In the NBA and baseball, I got a 10-year deal. I don't even have to Robinson Cano doesn't even run hard to first. Why would he? He's got 9 years left, making $225 million. Tom Brady had a bad year. They'd cut him tomorrow for a guy. I can't even spell Garoppolo's last name.
I don't ever root for a guy to be cut, and I don't want them to be cut because they are people and they should be treated that way at the same time. But I don't like it when players are dictating moves in the front office.
Well, they have for 100 years.
But there's a reason that's not true. There's a reason that the people in the front office are there, and it's because they can make good business decisions. And when you're letting players make business decisions.
Magic fired a coach. Michael fired a coach. The league's always been run this way. The players run it. It's been a players' league since the 60s.
I feel like it's getting worse.
Well, it may be getting worse because they're getting longer deals and they're making more money. Yes, but that's why I say I root for the players having mobility.
I do too.
I have no problem with these players bailing on cities. We shouldn't have 5 of these NBA teams around. There was no demand to have an NBA team in New Orleans. The league was fine without it. So you put a team in New Orleans. Who gets rich on that? The owners, because they get the expansion fee. But in the end, the players are like, we don't want to play there. So then we get mad at the players because they're like, well, I don't want to play in this city. The NBA had enough cities 20 years ago. Then they started adding it. And the reason they added it, not because there was a huge demand in these cities. The NBA added these cities because mostly rich old white dudes got expansion fee money. So if you add a team, every owner gets $42 million in their pocket. And they're all like, all right, let's add Carolina to the NHL. Nobody wanted Carolina in the NHL, but the owners are like, ooh, I get a $17 million check. I'll buy another yacht. And then we're surprised when players are like, I don't want to play hockey in Carolina. I want to play in Toronto. I am supporting players. Well, it's just like, what's wrong with the players having a little pull on it?
No, I totally agree. I support players too, but they're going to wind up hurting themselves in the long run.